Hello and welcome to Gaming Alchemy, the show where we take your favorite games, break them down into their components, and see what's inside. I'm your host, Locke Vincent. This week we're going to be talking about Bayonetta, one of the most critically acclaimed character action games. Published by Sega, developed by Platinum Games, so you know exactly what you're getting with that. Some crazy antics, and some over-the-top, deep combat systems. We're going to explore today what influenced Bayonetta, where it came from, and where it takes some of its sort of style and gameplay. So let's check it out. Alright, the first game we're going to be talking about is Devil May Cry. Now, this is a very, very easy comparison to make because Devil May Cry propelled the character action game in the PlayStation 2 era, Xbox era, GameCube era. It propelled that to new levels because it was so fast-paced. The fast-paced action is characteristic of Devil May Cry. Really, it stems from actually story-based. They were able to relate the character Dante, who is this half-demon, half-human character who wants to he's a bounty hunter, and he gets his powers from his demon side, and that's where he is able to move at this lightning speeds and has super strength and that sort of thing. So it's really cool to see the story and the gameplay, the main gameplay, come sort of intertwine and be sort of helped by each other. The combat is really, like I said, over the top. It's insane. All the combos that you can do, you are graded on. It's going to say brilliant, awesome, fantastic, and it focuses on building up your style points and your combo points because it grades you at the end of the level. And really, in order to achieve those highest ranks, you need to be able to string together combos as well as not getting hit. That's a huge part of Devil May Cry, is the dodging. It's so important to your success, not only in the score side of things, but also just surviving, because it's a pretty difficult game. And if you're playing anything above, I'd say, easy mode, if you don't know how to dodge, you're not going to be able to succeed in Devil May Cry. So dodging is so key. Dante himself is a very, very interesting character, one of my favorite characters.
Whoa, slow down, babe.
Some people don't like him because he's kind of a smartass. He's got a chip on his shoulder, he's got some attitude, and I think that's what makes it for me, because he embodies this sort of cocky bounty hunter that you want to hate, but he's just so good at his job and he's so good at killing demons that he's really, really cool to watch, and he makes these fight scenes elegant. And I think having that sassy sort of, that main character with attitude is really important, and especially in a game that is so driven by the character, it's very important to have a great main character like that. Again, I think a main thing in Devil May Cry, a characteristic of it that we see in Bayonetta as well, is the recurring bosses. You fight Phantom, the giant spider, 3 times in the first game. You fight Neo Angelo, who turns out to be your brother. You fight him a number of times. And this idea of learning the enemy patterns and what they do, and the game coming back at you with, on the second time you fight them, they're going to be more difficult because they've either adopted a new technique, or they've got some armor, or introducing something new, so you have to not necessarily relearn, but build on that sense of changing something that was the same. So the recurring bosses is very characteristic of Devil May Cry, and we see that bleed into Bayonetta in its influences. So that's about it for Devil May Cry. It's a wonderful game. It's one of the best again character action games, and again, I'm really glad that Bayonetta was able to adopt a lot of the things from it. Alright, so let's take a quick break, and then we'll go on to our next game.
Long since erased from the records of time, there once existed 2 European clans who served as overseers of history for the powers that be. The clans paid each other great respect, and their efforts to maintain the balance between them defended the just passage of time. Yet one day, that balance was toppled.
Alright, so for the second game that we have found in the Bayonetta primordial soup, we're going to be taking a look at God of War. Now, God of War is another character action game or brawler that Bayonetta is heavily influenced from. I think, what does Bayonetta get from God of War? Well, first things first, we have to talk about scale. The sense of scale in God of War is insane. You play as Kratos, you're this regular human, who later becomes a god, but when you walk into an environment, it isn't afraid to just pull the camera back while you are fighting and battling, just to show you what is going on. These huge vistas, and just you see gods and titans and things just ravaging the countryside of Greece and Rome, and it's really interesting to see that taken for a different spin, because while Greek mythology, it's got some, it's very, fantastical, it's got some fantasy to it. Bayonetta does that in a way that's just insane. You are running up and down buildings that are being just thrown at you, and the sense of scale in Bayonetta is really key, because you are very small and you are going to be taking on some big enemies. So that leads me to the next point. In God of War, you have some crazy bosses. Sometimes you get repeat bosses, but because you are Kratos and you kill everything in your wake, you don't see some repeat bosses like we did in Devil May Cry. But these bosses are insane, and what I mean by that is God of War has some of the best boss fights that any action game has, because when you're fighting something that's larger than you are going to take it apart piece by piece, and that is so satisfying. You are using your chains to just tear out eyeballs and dig into skulls and slit throats. And really, some of the best boss fights are where you are this small character running across the back of something, whether it's a titan or a hydra. It's pretty awesome to be able to fight gods in God of War. And really, the sense of scale is also very important in these boss fights. But again, the bosses are just so iconic. Next thing, again, this one is shared between all three games, dodging. This idea of being nimble and being able to get out of the way, and dodging in God of War is a little different because it's instant. As soon as you flick the stick, you are gone. You don't have to push a button or anything. So I think that's super important, because in Bayonetta we see the dodging leads to your sort of ability to slow down time in the witch time, and I think that's very important to focus on, because if you don't dodge, you're gonna die. That's a common theme throughout all of this. Again, back to tearing eyes out and bludgeoning things. The kill animations in God of War, we saw, it was almost one of the first QuickTime events of that nature, where you stunned an enemy and you saw this button prompt, whether it was X or circle or triangle or square. You would hit it, and he would go into this crazy kill animation where he would grab something and tear it apart, or stab it multiple times, and it was very satisfying, although quite violent and gory. But it was just so satisfying to have this ability to just turn something to dust and decimate it. And again, that is carried forward in Bayonetta so much, because her character is a witch, and she uses her hair as a bodysuit, but also her hair turned into these amazing creatures, a dragon, a hawk or a raven, a spider. It's insane, the kill animations. There's a lot of stuff in God of War that you can see in Bayonetta, both very great character action games, but let's go back and check out Bayonetta one final time. Have come back to Bayonetta full circle. Really, it's all about combat in these games, and it's awesome to have great atmosphere, great environments, great bosses that we see in Bayonetta. Bayonetta really takes both of these games and ideas and concepts to the next level, because anytime you're doing a combo with Bayonetta, you can just make it even crazier, because her hair turns into these different stuff and ends your combos, and you don't see that you see finishers in God of War and Devil May Cry, but you don't see these types of finishers, and that's why I really love Platinum games. That's why I love what they did with Bayonetta. Again, it's all about the characters. Bayonetta is awesome. She's super confident and really just is super, you know, really likes to make fun of whoever she's fighting, which I like to see, and you're gathering that from Dante. So if you like Devil May Cry or God of War, two classic character action games, give Bayonetta a try if you haven't done so already. It's something that you can't be missed. And when you have Platinum, who's just crazy bonkers, anything they develop is nuts and amazing, coupled with Sega, who have thrown in their own couple sequences in the game. I won't spoil them for you. You definitely get a masterpiece that is Bayonetta. And as always, thank you for watching. Make sure that you send any requests for games that you want to get alchemized my way. You can do that on the website or in any comments. I'll check it out. Put a game in the lab. We'll see what we can come up with. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.